Oh, you were the first round. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to call you out. I apologize. That's all right. Listen, she said you had good spacing. So, you know, you have that to carry forward the rest of your life.
Carrie.
Right? Haha. Haha. Good job, Bennett. Hello, welcome. Hello, welcome. Hi. We haven't started. You haven't missed anything, don't we? Hello, hi, how are you?
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. Wait, Enzo, how are you?
I'm doing really well.
Good. Dude, we played 3 rounds. It took us 5 hours. We were there till 11:30. We played, like, at some point, every character but 2 in that deck got played.
Yeah, I saw because I was at that table playing Dragon Age, tabletop thing right next to you, and I was there with
We just
Faye.
kept going.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because Faye literally walked in and she was like, "What are you guys playing?" I was like, "We were literally about to play the very first card. Do you want in on this game?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Yeah." She's like, "We'll figure it out," like whatever. And then it got towards the end, and then we were like, "We have 15 minutes. We gotta self-destruct our way out of here. Like we gotta just go after each other. Like let's wrap this up." But it was, I know, right? We were like 15 minutes, man. Let's settle it. Let's settle it. Yeah, no, it was a lot. Well, I mean, someone won. There was one person who ended up being the final winner.
Everyone lost that day.
So, yeah, but it was super fun. But it was like the gameplay is simple, but then every time you add new people, you're like, how do you work and how do I work and how does this work? So it was like familiar but different every single time. So, but it was fun. Anyway, hi, hello, I'm Carrie. I assume that you know that if you're in this room because I'm the only reason you would be in this room. Unless you were just like, you liked it nice and dim, intimate lighting. Could it be a little less intimate in here with the lighting, do you think? Could it be a little less intimate with the lighting?
Less.
Right? I mean, it's a nice fireside feel, but just a little more. Oh, no, go back. No, I don't like that. No, you're right, I was wrong, everything's perfect. Yeah, thank you. He's like, these are your choices. Okay, I picked this one. So I don't have a plan for today. So I just feel like I assume I like my characters, and I assume if you're here, you also like my characters, and so we can just talk about how much we like my characters and like the shows and whatever. But I also personally feel that they're like, oh, we don't know her, we don't like the characters, we're leaving. I'm just kidding.
Imagining somebody going, boo!
Yeah, right. Boo! Like Princess Bride. True love. She turned her back on it. Boo! The queen of slime, the queen of hell, the queen of putrescence.
I'm imagining that SpongeBob
Anyone?
Yes. Remember that from SpongeBob?
Copy that. Well, there's a lot of booing to choose from. I guess I went Carol Kane. I don't know why.
There's a lot.
There's a lot of booing to choose from.
Casper boo?
Which is a very different boo than which is a nicer boo because it's just like a not that scary boo, but not like a mean like you suck boo. Anyway, so I also feel like when I go to these things, like I don't have like a question to ask the person, so I don't you don't have to have a question. You can also just come stand and be like, hey, I loved this moment in that show, and we'll be like, yeah, that moment was awesome, and like that's fine too. It doesn't have to be like, excuse me, but how did you get involved in voice acting, or like, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be that formal. This hangout, because I mean, we're all just hanging out because we like each other, right? So it's just a hang. It's not that very. Oh my God! It's like seriously, this is like a reunion right now. Like this is so fun having it on a Sunday. We're like, hello everyone. I've been spending all weekend with. How are you? Hello. I heard your Dragon Age went well.
Indeed.
Yes, we had people here that were in his Dragon Age. I love board games. I love tabletop gaming, so I spent a lot of time in that room and playing games. And it was actually at one of these conventions that I first did Tony was like, hey, do you want to do like a tabletop panel? And I was like, how would that even work? And so we played Secret Hitler, and I was a terror, and but everyone had a good time. Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right. I feel like a lot of stories that get told about like, hey, remember that time you blah blah blah? And I'll be like, that sounds like something I did. That sounds like something I did. But it all started because of Betrayal at the House on the Hill. That I'd heard about that game for years and years, and I'd never played because my 2 friends who had it, we just never played it. And then it was at like a Flagstaff, right? Yeah, Flagstaff. And so So when you're the guest, like people have to say yes to you, like the staff, like they have to like be nice to you, right? And accommodate you. And sometimes you can use your powers for good in this world, and sometimes you can use your powers for like
chaotic evil.
I mean, neutral evil. I don't know. Maybe. So it was poor Tony was sitting at the table, and it was like he was watching like the masquerade sign in, but it was like the masquerade had started, so like who cared, right? But like he had to like be at the table, and I was like, well, if you're stuck at the table, then that means you can play a game with me, right? So he was like, nah. I was like, no, it's fine. Because I'm the guest, and like Greg will be fine. It'll be fine, no problem. So I go get the thing, and then the guy doing the demo, I was like, he's like, I'm about to leave. I was like, well, I'm about to play, so you should come play. And so he sat down, and then whoever else was happened to be sitting next to him, like she was playing. So then also the four of us are all playing Betrayal in the hallway, and people were walking by. I'm like, oh, I love that game. And then so we were just like playing in the hallway, and then like events would open, like empty out, and then like new people, and we just kept playing. And maybe like it ended up being a haunt. Like it's a game, you build the thing, it's different every time. You build the rooms, you explore the house, and then someone sets up a haunt, and the haunt can be any of like 50 different things that suddenly make one person the betrayer, and there's all these different stories, and it turned out to be like a Frankenstein story. So Tony was the Frankenstein chasing me, my little girl, around the house. And I might have at one point like jumped up, kicked my chair out, and been like, I'm gonna kill you! Like it got very intense. The whole thing was like very intense, and then I ended up keeping the staff up to like 2:30 in the morning playing, because we kept moving. Every time they closed a part of the hotel, we'd move to a new part to just play another game. And then I woke up in the morning, I was like feeling great, you know what I mean? I had breakfast, and like Greg came down, he's like, what did you do to my staff? And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, you kept them up until 4 in the morning. And I was like, no. I left at 2:30. Like Denny's was on them. Like they were so hungry because I kept them outside, and they were like, we're starving. So they like, when they went to Denny's, and they all went to bed at 4. But I was like, I'm not responsible for the 4. Like at 2:30, and then they were cut loose. Like I went to bed at 2:30, so it's not my fault. The extra 90 minutes is on them. So that's how that all started. It was just because that one game that I just wanted to play. And so now every time I come, it's like a new, like they're teaching me a new game, whatever. But that's what I also like about it, is you get to sit down and like try a new game and see. Yeah, but I find now I prefer cooperative gameplay as opposed to lose friends at the end of this gameplay, like that kind of thing. Yes, Bennett?
What's your favorite board game?
I guess here's the quirk of me, is that like people always ask these questions, like, what's your favorite blank, right? And I'm like, I don't have a favorite anything, really, because for me it's like contextual, or like it's so yeah, I think the ones, okay, listen, there's this one, it's not even a board game, but it's like a dice game, it's called Skyscraper, and like all you do is like roll dice to build skyscrapers. And then when you build a skyscraper, you turn it in for a card, and then at the end, whoever built the most skyscrapers have the most points, like wins. And there's like you just like rolling, and you can choose like to roll a bottom, a middle, or a top, or whatever combination and stuff. And but there's something so satisfying about watching people build, like roll and like build, like the OCD in me, like the type A in me is like, good job! They're like, Carrie, that's worth 34 points. I'm like, I know, but it's so satisfying. Look, it's so tall. They like made it, you know what I mean? Like there's something, so we use it as like a palate cleanser for every time we get together to play games. So we'll like start with Skyscraper, because my friend who like sometimes she hosts a lot, like she also loves the game in a way that's like we both are just super, there's no reason for us to love this game as much as we do, but like, can we just start with a quick round of Skyscraper? And we play that, and then we do the palate cleanser. But we still play, we're back to playing Betrayal. We didn't play it for a while, because honestly, that expansion pack kind of ruined it for us.
Which one?
The Widow's Walk? Yeah. It felt like they were not play tested well enough. Like they needed more time, and they
were okay, and then the rest were just moving.
Yeah, and like sometimes the rules were not, the language wasn't super clear, and then it would be very obvious that like it would super benefit one person if we did it one way, and it would super benefit the other people if you interpreted the other way, and then like it was like not good. So then we stopped playing it for a while. But I've been, I was a little obsessed with Pandemic for a while. And by obsessed, I mean like we couldn't figure out how to beat it because we kept using like 7 epidemics, and we didn't really realize that you should use less epidemics. But so I might have possibly played like by myself, for like 2 nights in a row, like watching I watched like 2 seasons of Lucifer because you don't have to pay attention to what's happening, and you know, because you're like, okay, they just explain everything to you like every 5 minutes in the show, like they recap it in dialogues. You're like, okay, cool, and then everyone's so beautiful, so you're like, yay. And I like had a bottle cap, and I would like move the bottle cap. I would deal out 3 hands and move the bottle cap around to keep track of like whose turn it was, and just like played the game over and over and over and over until like I knew how to beat it at like various different. With like regular epidemics, this number of regular epidemics, like this number of like virulent strain epidemics, and now when I play it, I can't make any choices. I'll be like, guys, whatever you want to do. No, I know what we should do here, like the highest probability of what will help us win, but like that's cheating, so you guys decide. Like you guys pick it. And there'll be times where I'll be like, there's no way to win this game, we're already done. You want to just pack it up? And they're like, no. I was like, cool. And we like play it out, I'm like, we lost. Can we back it up now? Can we like reset it? But one time we lost in the first hand because like everything was black, and then like we got an epidemic in the very first hand, and then like had to play out, and we ran out of cubes to play because everything was in black, so we lost in like literally the first hand. And we were like, what? So yeah, so Pandemic. I'm playing Pandemic a lot. I did like Mysterium when I played it. My friends played it, but I haven't played that. And I'm doing a campaign game right now called Kingdom Death. Does anyone know this game?
No.
It's so brutal. Don't play it. Oh my god. I mean, it's very, very detailed. It's really well done, and all the stuff is beautiful. But it is like so brutal. Like even when you win, like you get punished. Like it's so brutal. It's so brutal. Like you can like if you try to have a baby, you could die. Like you're like character's gone. She died. Done. Your population's down. The like there's one like if you roll low enough. The couple that was trying to have a baby, like, are filled with a sense of, like, emptiness, and they just wander off into the wilderness to die. Like, you just lose both the man and the woman, they just wander off. It's so, like, the world is so, you wake up and you're like, I don't know what's happening, but I'm on this, like, it's like, I'm on a floor, and it's a carved skulls, and there's like this big lion that's gonna try and eat me, and there's like, I don't know what's happening, and like you pry up a part of one of the skulls and you like stab the lion, and then now you're like, there's a pile of lanterns that are light, and you walk to them, and then you meet other survivors, and you're like, let's start civilization. And it's like, it's so bleak, and it's so hard, but it's dope. But it's like, it's really good, it's really detailed, but you're like, man, it's brutal, it's so brutal. I love it. So those are the games I'm playing most currently. I'm terrible at code names. I'm terrible at timelines. Yeah. So there's like this dice game. It's like a Western. I don't remember. But I actually I have several groups of friends that we play different things. I also really weirdly love Ticket to Ride. You hear about that game and you're like, that sounds like the dumbest game anyone ever made. Like you're building a train from one city to a city, and then you start to play, you're like, oh, this is dope. yeah. That was super fun. So, and I have a friend that she made a Ticket to Ride, but that was set in like the Lord of Rings world.
Whoa.
Yeah. She like makes her own versions of games, and then we play those games. It's dope. Okay, this is not a board gaming panel. I apologize for everyone who was like,
Like Doors box.
Oh, yeah.
I know, well, especially at this family of conventions. Like all I do is spend all my time in the board gaming room.
Here's a question, going a little bit off track of board games.
We're back on track to anything else, yes?
Do you know of Danganronpa?
Do I know of it? I'm in it.
Which character? I'm trying to make sure.
I play the photographer.
I'm so sorry for Jeffrey.
Oh no, I know, no. It's and the anime series, like the end of that is, brutal. Like when I was recording it, and it's such a huge cast. I was recording it, I looked at my director and I was like, you have to go through this 13 more times. Like this is terrible. He's like, I know, it's killing me. Like no, it's bleak. I love it. But it's like be careful. Like don't
Don't get attached.
Like don't get attached to anybody. It's like a Gundam show. Don't get attached. Don't like anyone because like no one's safe.
It's like Game of Thrones.
It's like Game of Thrones. It's like Evangelion. Like don't fall in love with anyone.
Unless somebody has the
It's going badly for all of them.
the title of Hope attached to it, don't get attached to anyone.
Don't I mean, I wouldn't even trust that at this point. Who knows what they'll do next?
One of the things the reason I was going to mention that was
Yes.
relating to the game team.
Mhm.
I used to be part of this, Discord?
Yeah.
I was part of this Discord server where we all made fan games of Danganronpa.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing that I did was I helped lead one of the games, and everybody hated me in the 4th chapter because what I did was I literally kept making everybody go between rotating rooms. They're all handcuffed to each other. And they had to try to, I was like, okay, you gotta kill each other. They're all friends.
Yeah, yes.
And so what I did was I made one of them I encouraged all of them to eat the soup. One of them has to feed each other. The other person is unable to do anything. And
Right, because their hands are.
But the thing was, the soup was the thing that would kill them. But it could either go one of two ways. Either they fed the soup, and over time, inside there was these nanoblobs that had poison inside. Stomach acids would eventually melt it away. They'd die from that.
Sounds disgusting. Okay.
Or there was this button that, out of 3 buttons that they had to press, 2 of them led to clues to the island or why the hell they got there, and the third would release the board. And so the thing that made it all the more troublesome was 2 people pressed the button, and person A pressed the button that would open up the door near person B, and person B opened a button next to person A, or rather, when I say person A, I mean it killed the person that ate the soup. And nobody could guess who it was, but the person who pressed the button that did it, they're just like, oh no, I did it. And they had to 50-50 guess it, because I pulled...
So they had a 50-50 chance of accidentally killing their friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds like a terrible choice.
Yeah.
I did an escape room once where when you started off, you were handcuffed to something, and then you had to you had to all work together because you could only reach your stuff and they could reach their stuff, and you had to communicate so that then finally someone could get a key and then get around and let everyone else out. Yeah, it's terrible. That sounds terrible, but good job. Because that's what that show is. That's what that is. Impossible situations.
They hated when I was mastermind because I stuck to the chaos that was the game.
Yeah.
All of them were trying to plan things.
Be nicer.
Yeah, they were trying to make it all fun. I'm like, you don't understand.
You lost the thread of this game.
You don't have the thrill of not knowing. Because all of you are methodically thinking. One of you knows, oh shit, I possibly did it. I don't want to be right. I hope it's somebody else, but yet this is my friend right now.
Aha.
So that made it all the more fun for me because I thought I thought the entire plan up in 10 minutes.
Good job.
Yeah. And I had to lead it all. But I was the only person managing.
So no one be friends with this guy.
Yep.
Because he's trouble.
Yep.
He's
the person who executed my friend 3 times.
he was asking for it.
I was on your team 2 of those times.
Well, look, sometimes sacrifices have to be made, for the greater good, and I mean, you're here to complain about it, so obviously you regenerated, but sometimes you gotta. I do have a friend of mine that in Betrayal, if he dies, he then is completely not helpful to the rest of the team. He just pouts and sits on his phone. I was like, Brian, you can still help us. You don't have to find whatever.
Metagaming. It's metagaming.
I know, right? You're all right, fine, I guess you're out.
You agreed to die!
Yes?
Most fans of Gundams don't like Gundam Seed, but that's actually my favorite. So, a very open question. Do you have any thoughts about playing Ramius?
Oh, I loved, she was sort of an accident. That was sort of an accident, because I was directing the series, and we were getting auditions for all the different characters and stuff, and me and my producer were she knew my work beforehand, and we just really saw eye to eye on at all the other choices, that we're making, people translate differently, sonically, for different people, right? So I think that the biggest challenge as a director is, you can talk about art in some sort of subjective ways, but once you finally get, auditions in front of you, and you're listening to people, and then they're saying, I like this, I don't like this, I like this, I like this, I don't like this, then you start to really understand, what exactly they mean and where exactly the show wants to live. And I was really lucky that, that Satsuki, Stephanie, and I all, really tracked everybody the same way. When we heard an audition, we all heard the same things. So we were all sort of really agreeing on a bunch of stuff. And that was the character that all of us had a different, our hat was in different rings. Stephanie liked someone, sort of mostly, I liked someone mostly, and then Satsuki liked someone mostly. We were all going back and forth. And in the middle of this email chain, I just jumped in my home booth. I did one pass and I was okay, not to throw a like a wrench in the whole thing. Like, here's my read on her. And then Satsuki was like, yeah. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, oh. Okay, cool. So, I guess, like, Stephanie, are you gonna direct me? Because, like, this is weird. Like, as my first show, like, directing, I have to direct 98 episodes, and, like, now I don't wanna direct myself for 98 episodes. So Stephanie ended up directing me. But like, she's like textbook, like, my chicks, you know what I mean? Like, especially, like, her whole, like, relationship with LaFlaga, and, like, yeah. So she was awesome, and I loved having the opportunity. I did feel weird. I was like, is it weird that I'm directing this and I cast it? I mean, I got casted? That's weird. But whatever. Yeah, she was awesome. And someday it will come out. But we did Seed and Destiny. And but the benefit we had is that my producer was reading all the manga, like along with the show. So when we got to moments, especially, it's a little bit in Seed, but especially in Destiny, where like they'd be saying something in the Japanese, and like the translation would be like, wow, it's weird that we're going there. Why would they have to go? Interesting that they sent us all the way over there. And I'd be like, what are they talking about? Like what is happening right now? They're just, no one's saying anything. And then she's like, oh, well, in the manga, this is the situation. And I was like, okay, cool. Can we just say that? And she was like, yeah. So we were able to like write more into the script so that you could like follow the story a little bit better and like understand like why decisions were being made. So you sort of like track like what was going on with like who ends up being the villain and like that relationship. So, you know, that was helpful for us to already have all that, the written, the comics and stuff, so to like fill in the gaps and stuff. But I have like, it's a great cast, and I loved working with them, and they were all awesome and delightful. So we'll see if people like it.
So Stephanie Satsuki was the producer?
No, Stephanie Shea. Was with NYAB Post, so she was sort of my supervisor, my direct supervisor, and then Satsuki was from the company. So, yeah, yes.
Have you ever felt like you missed an opportunity to be in something and you really regret not being in it?
Oh, I mean, well, what do you mean I missed an opportunity? I mean, I can say there's a bunch of things I've auditioned for that, like, I didn't get a chance to be a part of, which, like, yeah, obviously you're like, you know.
More or less what I...
Yes. Yeah. I mean, for sure. There's stuff that, like, you wanted to be a part of that you didn't get to.
In particular?
In particular. Anything in particular. Well, I mean, yeah, a ton of that. I mean, like, you auditioned for like a ton of stuff. So, I mean, let's see, something. I mean, like, I would have loved to have been a Muppet Baby. That would have been like dope, right? Like I'm a Muppet Baby. Like, you know. So there's like, yeah. So there's a ton of stuff that and then you're like, but also the flip side is like, then when you like, I was amazed when I got to be in Naruto, and I was like, yes. Oh my god, like, but it's also daunting to step into kind of like legacy shows, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, you know, but yeah, I actually will say that like, for Sailor Galaxia, when the auditions for Sailor Stars went out, I had lost my voice, and I couldn't read for it, so I had to miss that audition, and the studio contacted me like 2 days after it was due and said like, hey, are you submitting on this? And I replied, because I didn't originally say anything to them, and I replied, I said, listen, I was like, I'm so sorry, I lost my voice and I can't rest until Sunday, because I was like directing all day and doing a show at night. So I was like, I can't rest until Sunday, so I wouldn't even be able to get it in until like Monday at the earliest. And they were like, okay, no problem, give it, you send it on Monday. And I was like, okay, cool, thank you. Wow. And I sent it on Monday, and I was like, and then I got a call back. I got a call back for 2 characters, and I was like, oh, cool, they're doing a round of callbacks. I was like, perfect. That means that I, you know, had some time. So, and then I ended up booking Sailor Galaxia. So I was in the studio, and I was like, oh my god, thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate it. Because I know that I was late on my submission because I had lost my voice at the time. And he was like, oh yeah, I remember. And there was like 6 characters that went out. And he was like, oh, he's like, yeah. He's like, we didn't want to hurt your voice. He was like, and I know the studio has their people. He's like, but you were on my short list, and I really wanted to hear you. And so when I found out you lost your voice, he was like, oh, I don't want to hurt her voice, but he's like, I went to my boss's office and I begged him for 2 more days.
Yeah. And
I was like, what? You did that for me? And so he was like, yeah. And then I was like, well, yes, it worked out. But yeah, so like sometimes you don't realize like, I don't know, sometimes I just feel like there are roles that are your roles, and they're just going to be your roles, and then that's just how it's gonna work out. Like, your roles are your roles, and the roles that belong to other people belong to other people, and you have to find a way to like just move through this. Like, I'm working on something right now, and someone who I wanted to bring in for a callback, she's out of town for the callback, so she couldn't come in. And I submitted a short list, and then they were like, "Can we hear some more people? Because we feel like this one element is missing." And I was like, "Cool." And I was in the studio, and I had like a half hour from 9:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the end of my shift that was like available. And so I texted her and another woman who also couldn't make it to the callback. I said, "Hey, any chance?" I mean, this is like I'm texting them at like 5 o'clock, and being like, "Any chance you can come in tonight between 9:30 and 10 for a callback?" And they were like, "Yeah." And then she booked it.
Awesome.
So, like, you know what I mean? So I was like, she couldn't make it. They didn't like anyone. Like then she got a second chance at that callback, and like it was, but like that role was like so obviously her role. Like, it's just like no, you know, in my mind I was like, there's just no one else. Like, the thing that they wanted out of that character, like she so naturally has that I was like, this is it. Like, as soon as they gave me that note, I was like, oh, this person that couldn't come in before, I'm bringing her back, and then she booked it. So it's you know, so you kind of go like, oh, I wish I could be a part of that thing, but then you also have to just. I have a really, really good friend of mine who, he's very, very successful at this point in his career. And he said that even him, he's like, I always give myself 48 hours. Like, you give yourself 48 hours to be disappointed or upset or sad or whatever, and then you have to move on. But it's important to give yourself the 48 hours to like actually like be like bummed and then move on. Because if you sort of skip that and you try to pretend that you're not bummed, like over time, it'll like turn into like cynicism.
I mean, when you've been in the industry like for long enough, you just gotta learn to move on.
Yeah. You also literally forget your auditions. You can't like my parents used to be like, so how was that audition, that callback? And I was like, what? They're like, well, we talked on the phone last time. My mom does not talk like this, but I give her this voice when I tell stories about my mom. Well, the last time we talked to you, you were going into a callback. And I'd be like, I don't even remember what that was, Mom. Like, because you will make yourself nuts, you know? So sometimes you go in for something, you're like, what, do you have my audition? Do you have like a reference for something? And like, or when people come in, I'll be like, here's your reference.
Yeah.
Like, even for like, Evangelion, like, auditions happen like before Christmas. But like, nobody found out about their role until we needed to book them. So like, some people had booked it, like, 7 weeks earlier. And they didn't even know what project it was, and everything's, and also nowadays, everything's under a pseudonym. I go in for video games called Bacon, and Brave, and Chocolate, you know what I mean? And then it comes out, you're like, is that what that's called? I don't know, you know what I mean? Because you just don't, like, everything's so crazy, so half the time you have to be like, what was I auditioning for? What was the reference? Oh yeah, and then you hear your audition, and you're like, oh, I remember, I remember this is, okay, gotcha. You know?
Yeah.
That was not even the answer to your question. But I just started talking.
It's totally fine.
And I was just like staring at you the whole time, so you're like just having to like very politely listen to me just talk
No, it's
about nothing else that has anything to do with what you asked.
No.
So welcome to my panel, guys. Welcome to my panel.
Everyone just say, you're the guest.
Yeah, I just talk. I just like start just blabbing away about my feelings.
I was going to.
Did you raise your hand?
Yes,
Did you raise your hand?
a couple times.
Did I call on you? No. Well, okay, hold on. Right? Because he spoke. There's a new person. We gotta spread it around. Robin, what's up?
So, now that you've gotten your foot in on directing a lot of stuff,
Gotten my foot in. I'm 10 projects in 2 years. It's crazy, right? What happened? Okay.
how has that influenced and changed the way you're acting?
Oh my God, I'm like on vacation when I go for a booking now. Like, I'm like, hey, what's up? I don't even know shit. You tell me what's happening. Oh yeah? Yeah, does she like her dad? Oh cool, great. I'm like, yeah, I was like, oh, that needs a rewrite, huh? Tell me when you're done. I can't wait to see what you come up with. Huh? I don't have to worry. Oh, you look stressed out. Yeah, I know that feeling. Just let me know when you're ready. Oh, Rocho's crashed on you? Oh, I know it's terrible, right? I'm just gonna sit here, just tweet, check Instagram. You let me know when we're ready. Like I feel like I'm on like vacation. Also, my sync has gotten so much better. I keep having to like, I'm on hold for 2 sessions and I like do everything in 1 session. I have other things to do. Like, yeah. So it's been super fun. It's been super fun. Also, it's been like interesting to like, I feel like it's really changed my relationship with other directors because like now like being able, like it was awesome like this weekend talking to Mike because it's the first time I've really seen Mike since I started directing, and he's directed me, I directed. That never happened. Listen, there's like 100 that like people every episode they travel someplace else and someone dies and they travel like if you know a voice actor he was probably in that show because I needed to kill every like guy. Like I killed every man that I know in that show at some point. So yeah. So it was like it's neat to be able to like kind of like chat with them and you know what I mean, like it's just like a whole different experience. And also, the one thing I've been thinking about maybe doing like videos about this because I feel like I keep having these conversations on loop with different actors and I'm like, I should just make like a video and be like, watch this. The things that actors worry about, like if there was like a list of things that they're worrying about, like when I'm casting or directing, like none of the things on their list is like anything I'm thinking about at all. Like it's like a whole other world. I'm like, I don't pay attention to any of those things. I'm actually like coming at it from this completely different point of view. And it's fascinating to me to be like, And so I started to say to them, I'm like, it's interesting because you're having a very individual experience and I can understand that. But I'm having a very like multitude experience. So you think you're the only person in the booth that this happens to. And I'm sitting here going like, this happens to everyone in the booth at some point. You know what I mean? So like but like you're beating yourself up and telling this like story, and I'm sitting here being like, this is the line for her today. That's just like she's stuck on something. It's cool. Like it's whatever. It's like no big deal. But and also even the auditions were like, are you worried? I was just the sound quality, and maybe there's like a cat meowed in it, or and I'm like that is not like we. Like, yes, it's not like, yes, you auditioned in a bathroom, and I can tell you auditioned in the bathroom, but like, I'm not like your responsibility isn't the sonic quality of the voice recording. We have a booth, actually, at the studio. We'll record the files we need. So like, we're good, don't worry. Like, if you have like that's like going through the entire, like in the background of the entire thing, like that is hard to listen to. I still will listen to it, but I'll be like, okay, that's enough for me to know yes or no. But like, so it's interesting to me that I've seen, and it's weird because like then when I step into the booth as like an actor, I can sometimes like take back on those things. I'll be like, Carrie, you know none of that matters. You know that is not what they're listening for. You like know for a fact. And yeah, so it's also changed my approach to like auditions. That I was like, this is different. And I feel like when I can stay in that mode, like I book way more and I get way closer to bookings. Like those are the auditions I send in that like even when I don't book them, I get an email being like, listen, that was the weirdest audition I've ever heard, but it was awesome. And the director loved it, but like we went another way. But like I was like, thanks, you know what I mean? You're like, okay, cool. Like so. Like Chris Sabat at one point was like, I was in a session with someone else and he like broke into the session and be like, hey Carrie, just wanted to let you know, I heard your audition. That's fucking weird. It was like maybe the weirdest thing I've ever heard. But like, I just want you to know that. I loved it. I mean, you didn't book, but I loved it. I was like, thanks man, thanks, cool. Been back to work now, you know? So so I feel like it's been really, really interesting, you know, to like come at it from another point of view. And also, I think that I also like understand story better. I also like feel like I can meet my directors halfway even better now, you know. And I'm like, I got you. I got what you need. Cool, no problem. So I don't know. But it's like really fun to like keep being on both sides. So I feel like if I stop. I think one of the things that makes me a good director is because I know what it is to be in the booth. And I direct, and most of my live action, I have brand new people. They're like actors, but they've never done ADR before. So I'm like teaching, directing at the same time. And I feel like I can speak to a lot of like the struggle. I can like just like pinpoint the core issue they're having because I've been in that booth. I know what's happening for them. So I'm like, here, this. and they'll be like, oh, and then like all of a sudden we're off and running. You know, so I like the being able to be on both sides to like understand that and be more helpful to my actors. Because I think I'm not gonna say that sentence. Done. Done speaking on that sentence. Okay. Is there anyone who hasn't asked a question before I call on Bennett again? Yes.
Hi, I want to bring back to gaming again.
Yes. And there's actually another there's another campaign that already had a Lux and a Blanc in the same campaign, and so like I couldn't be either of those characters. And I picked someone, but we hadn't gotten to her area yet. So then he gave me someone else to be. I was Vi, and she was super fun for me to play, and like just a terror for everyone else. They'd be like, "What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Where are you going? Are you going without me? I don't think so. You got something to say? You can say it right in front of me. Where are you going? All right." Come on, like I was just like a bully the whole time. We were like, oh my god, this chick. So we were playing for a while. I think I was playing for like 2 months or so, but then I had to drop out. It's funny because I ran into one of the girls who was in the same campaign. At like she had an audition at the place that I was directing. I was like, oh my god, hi, how are you? And I was like, are you guys still playing? And but she couldn't go for a little while because she got busy and stuff. So, but it was super fun.
Awesome.
It was
Now,
super fun.
I was going to ask you what your favorite class was to play, if you did.
Oh, I liked it. I realize and finally accept about myself that like I just like to get in and punch people. Like do you know what I mean? Like I tried to play League of Legends as Lux and I was getting murdered because I wouldn't stay back. Like it took me a really long time to be like, I'm gonna stay back here, but I want to be like right up in there and like punch you in the face. And I'm very aggressive. I have kind of an aggressive personality when it comes to like gaming. So that's the kind of person I want. I don't want to be like the hang out and think about things. I'm like, guys, come on, pick it, make a choice. Where are we going? What are we doing? Like I'm very, yeah. So I'm that person in the game for sure, 100%.
Like tank character.
I do. Yeah. It's funny because like sometimes I tend to pick other types of characters, and I'm like, I just want to go punch things. Like I just want to go punch you in the face. And then,
Great sword.
yeah, like let's get this moving. Let's get going. Too much chatter. Like make it happen.
You think exactly like I do. That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm starting to just accept that about myself. It's fine.
That sounds like Tryndamere would be really, really good for you. I mean, his ultimate is just like, I can't die, I'm just gonna punch you in the face anyway.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't die. I'm just gonna punch you in the face.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should be my love line.
For about 5 seconds, you just can't die, no matter what.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I need.
Yeah.
That's what I want. But it turns out that in the campaign that we're in, there were already 2 like super duper fighters, so it didn't really make sense to put another like fighter in there. So
There's a variety that you can go with.
I know, but like it was there to balance out the group. We needed people who, because the problem in our group was that we got one guy who like doesn't want to talk. And it is like really super secretive and is like shy and whatever. And I'm like, what? What are you saying? What are you writing down? Who are you talking to? Where are you going? Why are you here? Like I'm like, and he's like, ah! And then we have like this like a scientist guy who's always off like doing other things and like won't talk to us. And then we have like this mysterious bruiser dude. And then we have like this guy who's like supposed to be gorgeous and just like a great fighter and a healer. And then we have this chick who's like super quiet, but like I'm on a mission of vengeance, but I'll just murder everything.
Yeah,
And then I'm like,
I was going to actually suggest Alloy because it sounded kind of what would go with your style.
yeah, there's a paladin in our group already. I actually don't remember what I am because they just gave it to me because it was just a temporary character until they got to like where my character would get triggered.
Yeah.
So I actually don't remember what class she was. It's been so long since I played her. I'd have to look it up. But I also, he made me a Satsuki D&D character. So now I have a Lady Satsuki D&D character.
Yeah,
which is dope.
that to me earlier.
Yeah, which is dope. Because she would be my fighting style. Yes?
So what's the difference between recording like with Netflix, Funimation, and other studios?
I'm sorry, say that one more time?
What do you notice like the difference between like recording with Netflix for Evangelion and like Funimation for like Kill la Kill and like
Oh, okay. So here's the interesting thing is that though the distributor ended up being Netflix, like I didn't technically work directly for Netflix. I worked for a vendor company. Like I worked for a company. I was hired by a production house that is a vendor for Netflix, right? So like there's a bunch of different houses that are approved vendors for Netflix, and they do different projects for them that end up going on their thing. And like and like Funimation is like both a studio and a distributor. But like Kill la Kill I did at Bang Zoom Studios, which is just the studio but not the distributor. So a lot of times you're working different projects or at different like studios, because even like Viz might have different studios they work with, and Netflix has different studios they work with. So it's like you are like my experience as either the actor or the director is like how is framed by the production studio itself. Like so. But the studio I have been, so the very first show I directed, the Gundam Seed Destiny, was with NYAV Post, and I've known them for a really, really, really long time, because I built his infrastructure like way back in the day in New York, and I like ran his office in New York for many years, and then I like left the company, and then have just been working with them as like a freelance, whatever. And then they texted me, they were like, Stephanie texted me when I was like, hey, have you ever thought about directing? I was like, sure. And then she was like, we should meet. And then I was like, 98 episodes? Like, what happens if I suck? Or you hate me, or I hate it? Like, what? This is a big commitment. She was like, well, just trust that we would try and find someone else, but like, and I was like, all right, well, okay, fine. But then everything else I've directed has been in another studio. And unfortunately, because of Netflix's policies, they don't really like us to set, like, I can't really talk about the studio. That is do you know what I mean? There's like, I don't really understand all of it, but whatever. So the studio that I have been recently working at, so the last 10 projects I've been doing have been at that specific studio. And I really love that studio. I like the staff there, I like the support network there. Every studio has its own processes, like they're all kind of similar-ish, but they're just like slightly different processes, slightly different personalities, And like any other company, it's like, every company has a culture, right? So it's like every studio has its own feel, and I feel really, really lucky that I get to work at the studio that I work at, because I really, I feel like I've really built a family there with them, and I know the engineers really well, and I had 9 of them on Ava, so I know all of the engineers very well. So I think that's what gives it like the biggest difference. And for me, what I really love about the studio that I'm at currently is that they're very actor friendly, and they're very like art first. And some studios, because of their deadlines or whatever, can sometimes have like a different focus, just say it that way. So I like that, because I'm allowed to have a little bit of time to like get the performance that I need, or like work with the actors, and they're very like supportive, and like the environment really lovely, as opposed to like other places that might just be like, you know what I mean? They're like, like you have to be in the booth like 1 minute before your time, and like don't pee, and it's like numbers, and you're like, all right, okay, I'm done. Yeah, because I personally feel like my philosophy is that art works because we understand behavior. And so if no one cares about me or the engineer. Like, no one's gonna experience me or the engineer. They're only gonna experience the performance, right? So they're only experiencing the actor. So if I can allow the actor to feel like supported and like nurtured and like equipped to be successful, and like they own, the more I can have them feel like they own the character, the more meaning things will have for them. And if it has meaning for them, then it'll sound like it has meaning to you. And like, that's what we're going for, you know what I mean? And that's what makes it match, and that's what makes it come. That's why it's like, that's when it sounds like a voice inside instead of like just voice over, right? That it sounds like a person having a conversation with another person, within the context of the scene and whatnot. So for me, I'm very like, and I also like, I don't want to be the stinky fish, is like my thing, because there's like that saying that like the fish stinks from the head down, whatever, and they say that about like companies. Like if you have if the head of the company is like kind of whatever, then like it trickles down to everyone else. And I'm like, I don't want to be the stinky fish. I don't want to be the stinky fish. So for me, like I think one of the the most important qualities in a director is leadership. And leadership doesn't mean I'm in control of the room, or I get to stand at the front of the room, or my voice is the loudest in the room. Like leadership means I'm responsible for this room. Like I take responsibility for this room.
Can you be my boss?
Right? I mean, but there is like, there's a difference, and there's a difference in the way that you then, everyone in the room can then show up. Because if I'm saying I'm taking responsibility for this room, I'm taking responsibility for all of you, then everybody else can feel like, okay, I'm ready to show up here, you know, and then we're all like working together towards a common goal. So that is not your question either. I just started talking about leadership. What was your question?
I was just wondering like the difference between recording and the difference.
Yeah, what did I say? Did I say it was fun? Did I answer that part of the question early on? Did I get there? Just keep going? Okay, cool. Cool.
I think you
Guys, this panel's going really well.
Yeah.
This panel's going, this is typical, right? Pretty typical. It's the Carrie Keranen experience. All right, so we got a new question over here.
You were talking about how you gotta be the punch 'em up character. Does that mean you can't play Lila in Zisteria because she's the opposite of that?
Well, I know.
I have a
She's
friend of mine who actually plays her that way, and he's crazy. I don't
yeah,
know.
well, it is hard to play a character in a way in which their disposition is not designed. Yes, it is very challenging. It is very challenging. But yeah, like I loved playing Lila for all the reasons that but I also, for me, like it's so weird sometimes for me to remember that she was like in a video game because like I didn't ever do anything. Do you know what I mean? Like I was really predominantly story. So like for me, I keep like being like, oh, that's right, it's a game. Because for me, I feel like it was a show.
Well, it was a show.
Because like I know, and then it was a game, and then it became a show, whatever, which further confuses me. But like, but I mean like because normally when you're doing a game, you have like all the like stuff, and then you have like all like the gameplay and the call outs and the fighting stuff. But like she didn't really do that and have much, and even in the thing, like she didn't really like do that. So sometimes I'm like, I kind of forget she's in a game because that's not what. So I don't like think about her that way. I just think about her as like a character in the story that I really liked because that was like my experience. Which is why it's so weird. It's like in Iron Blooded Orphan, I played card to issue, and I didn't know it was Iron Blooded Orphan because sometimes you don't have time to audition for everything. Like you do not, like you have time to audition your leads, and then sometimes some guest characters, and after that you just have to cast. And so you go to old files, and you go to people you know, and whatever, and like I'm always going to old auditions. I'll be like, oh, this character's kind of like this other character I read, and I like listen. I was like, we should do this person, or whatever. So I'm not, a lot of times I go into something, I didn't read for it, I don't know it, and like, again, like they don't tell you shows because they don't put it online. You know, everyone's getting more and more tight with their NDAs because, you know, because you guys really, you sneaky cheats, lost the thread already. Okay, so like something Iron Blooded Orphans, like I was playing card to issue, I thought I was in a comedy. And then I found out I was in Iron Blooded Orphans, and I was like, that is not a comedy. No. But like, my character was like Sunset Boulevard, and then she dies in this trap. I was like, oh, I was wrong about this show. But like my first 2 sessions were a completely different experience. It's like playing like Gila in 7 Deadly Sins. I thought I was in a medieval drama, and I find out I'm in a comedy. Because if you don't know what you're working on, and you only have what is in front of you with your character, then like you don't, until you figure out what the broader story is, you're like, oh wait, what? So I used to tease Chris Kaysen that he would always cast me as characters that were the opposite of the tone of the piece that he was directing. If it was a drama, he cast me as the comic relief. If it was a comedy, I'd be the dramatic person. I was like, what are you doing to me? You're messing with me. So it's weird, I constantly forget that was a video game, because in my mind, it was only the story. So I'm like, yeah. But no, I wouldn't play her. No, she's too nice.
No, you'd be Saray.
No, yes, obviously, yes. Even he's a little nice for me, but
yes.
Sweetie. I mean, we all love him, and he saves the world. But you know,
He's a lawful good.
You could play Rose.
He's a lawful
yes.
She's okay with killing people.
Yes, exactly. She would be the one I would play. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you're like whatever. Also, I feel like you people like characters that are more like blunt force take less finesse, and because I'm not good at video games, it behooves me to just be able to like
Rose
just like blunt force and just like hope for the best, because that's my only chance. Yes.
So I was wondering, as a voice actor, which emotional tone is the most difficult for you to convey through your characters, and why?
What is difficult for me to convey through my characters, and what, you know, I have trouble playing, I don't come from a cerebral place. So like, characters that are very like, calculating, cold, and like non-emotional are super hard for me. Like Satsuki at first was super hard for me, and I thought I was gonna get fired and replaced. And I was like, I called Michael Cinder Nicholas, who was one of the first directors I ever worked with, and I was like, Michael, I don't know what to do. And he was like, take a pen and like use the pen and like send all of your performance down the tip of the pen to like keep me like, because she can't ever sound like she's out of control. And like I'm a little loose. So those characters are super hard for me. Super hard. And so like, but I got like better and better, and like eventually was able to like put the pen down. But if I was having a bad day, I'd be like, pick up the pen. Okay, got her now. Like, you know, so yeah. So I think like those characters, because I don't know, I only know how to have a point of view based on how I feel about a thing. I don't know how to have a point of view based on what I think about a thing, if that makes any sense. So I don't even like those characters. Like I've tried, even in like acting class, I've tried to like work on characters like that, and I'm like, ugh! Like I don't like playing them. I don't want to play them. So I just don't, like a lot of times I don't even read on them. Like if they come in, I'm like, I read the other ones, I'm like, yeah, I'll do these ones. And I'm like, every once in a while I'll put like one in if there's something about them that I feel like I can get behind or like connect to or like speak to. And I know you didn't ask this, but the opposite is my favorite thing. My favorite thing is to laugh in character. Like laughing in character is like 100% my favorite thing, and I love like learning how a character would laugh. Like be like, how would this person? Because I think that like when spontaneous joy comes out of a person, I feel like it's such a core event for them that like I love laughing in the character, which worked out really great for me because Sailor Galaxia just like evil cackles, like half her lines are just evil cackling, and I was like, dope! And then Susan was like, thank God you're good at this. Thank God. She's like, this would have been a real nightmare. And I was like, no, I'm like a laugher. I love laughing, screaming, crying. I'm good. Like, yes, but I love laughing. It's my favorite thing. My favorite. Yes, we've circled back, so we'll go into yes.
It kind of relates then, I guess.
Robin, yes, Robin.
No, I was going to say.
No, I'm calling you Robin because you played Robin, but I don't know your name.
Oh, sorry.
But I'm talking to you. Go ahead. You're just being distracting in the middle of your question. Yes.
You mentioned in the semi-chat that you had trouble with the two twins from Persona 5.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Is that related to what you were just talking about?
Oh, no, that was more of a technical thing because when you, like, it has to do with, like, your instrument, right? Like, when you having the placement, having to get them so high up, it's like just, like, a smaller place to, like, work with. And because they had to stay in a certain, like, pitch and range, you know, because of their smallness and because of their age, and also because they were two sides of a psyche, like, they had to, like, one had to live. So it was like, if Caroline was not, like, angry, like, then like what does she sound like when she in her softer moments without her starting to sound like she was Justine, you know what I mean? And then like what does the calm one sound like when she gets angry if it's not that, you know what I mean? But you don't have as much room to like if I'm playing a character that's mostly in my natural voice, like things naturally happen. Like when you get excited, your pitch goes up, you know what I mean? And when you're having like when you're feeling like vulnerable, like sometimes we get like softer or whatever. And when you have a larger vocal place to play, then like those natural things can occur. And when you have a smaller, tighter vocal place to play, then like your getting excited can't go to. You have to still be different than when you're not excited, but not pop into something else. You know what I mean? So it's just like because of the character construct, they were both. But they both were like that. But if you had like two kids who were like, one was 7 and one was 12, or one was a girl and one was a boy, like then you already have more room. But they're like, and because of the same person, their voices can't be that different. So it's like we're like, oh shit. Like, that was tight. It was like the pocket they lived in was tiny and tight. And I was like, oh okay, focus. You know, especially as you get further into the game and they start to like have more emotion that is not just like what you've been experiencing, you know? They start to have nuance and you're like, I don't have a lot of room for nuance. Okay, cool. So it was just like, so you have to just focus a lot more. So on a technical level, you have to focus a lot more. As opposed to someone like Sarah, who like, on a technical level, I just have to sound like you can actually understand what I'm saying. But otherwise, like, she's just like, yeah, whatever, I have to make sure I like don't move around so much I'm not on the microphone, you know what I mean? So, but like it's easier. So that's what I was talking about with that. Yes, Bennett.
Would you recommend?
No. Okay, next question.
What did he say?
He said, would you recommend? No.
Okay.
Yes.
So, would you recommend joining the Screen Actors Guild if you become a voice actor?
Well, I think that the Screen Actors Guild has sort of like a natural progression into it, that you can work on SAG on at least two, like there's like, you can get tapped hard lead on a SAG projects and work without having to join union a few times within a certain time frame before you have to actually join. And that's sort of like built in, because you have to, when you're coming up, it sort of depends on like the work that you're getting, right? So like sometimes when you're starting out, like you might be doing non-union work. And then like it is a choice for everyone about like when they sort of cross over into union work, and like whether like, and that like being able to like book enough in that, and it's kind of a bit of a price tag. So it's also, you also like, there's different contracts, and certain contracts pay different amounts, and so if you have to pay $3,000 to join, and you're working on a contract that pays you $75 an hour, then you're sort of like, but if you're working on a contract that pays you $1,000 for a 4-hour session, you're like, oh, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of, so like, I think that like, I think that it's a decision that has to be made for every individual person for like the time that is right for them. But like, you don't have to join right away. Like, you can work on union jobs without joining right away. They do have a system there for that as you're sort of like transitioning, you know, into your professional life. So yeah, and everyone has that like moment of like, oh, do I mean, I've had people turn down, because at some point you become a must join, which means the next SAG job you get, you have to join within 30 days. Or the production house can have repercussions. So I've had people turn down auditions for things because they were not sure they wanted to go union yet. You know what I mean? And then later, when they did end up going union, they were like, okay, I can read for you now. And I was like, okay, cool. You know what I mean? So it's really like, but that also depends. It's everyone. It's a big financial decision. You know?
What are the benefits of it?
Oh, that's a wow. Ooh. Oh, my panel's literally over right now. I mean, they like check the website. I mean, like that information is like out there. You know, that information, all the information on the contract, like all that information is like it's out there. And also D. Bradley Baker has a website. So you want to be a voice actor? Is that what it is? So you want to be a voice actor? Like he has a just shit ton of information on there for that and stuff. So you like, yeah, you need more data, but it is there for, yeah. But like, I don't think it's a decision you're gonna have to make in the next 3 months. I'm just gonna say that. So you have some time to like suss it out. Yeah, no offense, but I think you have some time to suss it out. Because even if you booked a SAG job tomorrow, you wouldn't have to join for another 3 months. So you're good. You're good. All right. I have. I guess it's time. Like, did anyone have a quick comment?
You are
Just
awesome.
want to tell me I'm great? Like, just be like, oh my god, you're the highlight of my class. I cannot believe this convention's over already. I feel like I just got here. Doesn't this weekend feel like it just like flew by? So, but honestly, like it really, it's amazing to be able to look around and be like, oh my god, I've met so many of you throughout the weekend. So it was great to see you all, and I hope this was at least somewhat entertaining for you to be here, and potentially informational.